Partners in Torah.
Oh, partners in Torah.
What is this?
Have patience.
Oh,
I think it's a minute.
cool.
I'll let you know.
It's exciting. It's a lot of material.
Aye. Okay. Everybody's a safer and a paper?
It didn't even. Oh, there you are. You're live.
Okay. I'm all live.
You're live.
Baruch Hashem.
Save this for the
Okay, so
next few purposes.
I just realized that we only have another shear, this one and the next one before Shavuos, because Shavuos is Tuesday night in 2 weeks. And this Sichos is going to take us... Huh?
What day?
Tuesday night.
The 6th.
It's when the Torah, we're giving the Torah, so whatever day that was. Zion. But, yeah, this Sichos is going to take us, I thought it was going to take us 3 weeks, and we'd like go into Shavuos with it, but I don't think we're going to have to finish it in time. It's a big Sicha. Okay, so with that we start. Here we go.
So what's today's day that we are?
20. Okay, it's a Sicha Samach, 60. Okay, so in the farm, Sicha Samach. Here's what we're up to. Do you know that we started from the beginning?
Did we really?
I thought we skipped one or two.
Wow. Skipped around, no?
No. No, that we skipped around.
All right.
We skipped one or two. I'll go back in my notes. I'm pretty sure we have almost every single one, yeah.
What page is this?
4, 5,
Hey.
What?
3, 4, 5, 6.
No. Sichos Hakdusha Shel Rabbeinu Zichrono Livracha. This Sicha from Rabbi Nachman was said Be'ez She'ira Maisa B'Kehilas Kodesh Breslov, that there was an unfortunate Maisa that happened to the congregation, the holy congregation of Breslov. Shenizuka Yolda Achaz Bebaye Shechafrubo, that a girl was seriously damaged, hurt, when they were excavating to build a house. Also Binyanim Chadashim, when they were building new buildings. So he said this over after she unfortunately got hurt. Gam Kama Nefashos Hayu B'Sakana Gedol. There are many people who are in a state of sakana, of danger at this time. With the buildings, they're, I guess, building up Breslov. Az Shematim Peva Kadosh Inyan Zes. Rabbi Nachman, based on this is what he said. He said, Binyanim, when it comes to building, physical buildings, Yanti Vestalki Binyan Zeh, I've looked into the matter. Physically building. Bricks. You know, wherever you build buildings, that's about all I got. But, can I add some other words here? Beams, thank you. Cement, thank you. See, Moshe's helping me, guys. Thanks.
Foundation.
Building foundations. He's going to talk about foundations. So says Rabbi Nachman, I looked into it. He looked into the chachma, into the wisdom of building. V'ra'isi, listen to this line. Shekol ha'oskim b'binyanim b'bechomos. Everybody. I'm just reading the words here. I'm just translating. If you think I'm translating it wrong, let me know. Shekol ha'oskim b'binyanim. Everybody who deals with buildings and walls, ein echad mehem yotze naki. Nobody's going to come out unscathed. Everybody's going to be hurt in some way. That's what he said. Again, this is in the late 1700s.
There's a Gemara on this. I don't know the...
Well, he's going to quote the Gemara on this. Ve'afilu akum, even a guy, right? They also get damaged, not just Jews. Even guys get damaged. Ve'afal pikein ha'olam oskim bazeh. But even though people do get hurt, and locally some people seriously hurt and some die, nevertheless, the whole world is dealing with building. Because that's the fulfillment, sustainability of the world, to build buildings, to have people living in whatever, commercial, residential, whatever it may be. It's impossible not to have buildings in this world. So even though people are going to get damaged, and because the world needs buildings, HaKadosh Baruch Hu puts into the heart of certain people a desire to build. Whether physically build, whether to be the real estate guy, to be the financier, whatever it is. But he put in the heart of people a desire to build. As just parenthetically, those who have learned or learning with us, Shar B'Tachon, right? It says in Shar B'Tachon, the Baal Chovos says that in terms of parnasa, the proper way, according to Bitachon, to find a job is one thing. Why did HaKadosh Baruch Hu put you in this world? What inside of you, what do you want to do? What are you good at? What were you built for? What's your body built for? What's your mind built for? What's your emotional? What were you built for? What are you good at? What do you like doing? Nothing to do with dollars and cents. He never mentions that. How do you find the parnasa? How do you find what to do in this world? Again, that's a longer shmooze, and those who are following the chaburas know. But it's whatever Hashem puts in your heart that you have a cheshek for. Cheshek for. But if your cheshek is just for money, well then you might get in trouble with that. End parentheses, that's another time. So Kadosh Baruch Hu puts in the heart of man a certain desire to build, even though it's dangerous. And in this Indian of building, there's many different pieces, parts, many different chachmas. Ach sof kol sof eno yotze naki. But at the end of the day, you're not going to come out clean, unscathed. Sounds very promising. V'ner shezeh perish is the Gemara in Yevamos or Sota. One of those two. That's what you're thinking. The Gemara says.
I think it's Yevamos.
Yevamos. Kol osek bebinyan mismasking. Says the Gemara. Anybody who deals with binyan, building, mismasking. What does that mean? So the Gemara says over there, mismasking. It's a machlokes, Rav and Shmuel. One says it's a lashon anius. You're going to become poor. Interesting. V'gam hu lashon sakana. Mismaskein sounds very much like sakana. You're going to be in danger. Uba Medrash, the Medrash tells us, Mavur beferish al pasuk. The pasuk says, "Vayiven are miskanos laparo." Like this, when they were back-breaking labor, they were building these storage cities, whatever they were doing. They're called are miskanos. Same word. Building of a paro. Chad Omar. This is really where Rav and Shmuel come in. Shem misaknos es balein. V'chad Omar shem misak. No, it's the second one is Chad Omar shem misaknos es balein. That's sakana. The first one I don't know how to pronounce it. Shem maskenos, I think, is to make poor. Right? What were these? What was power trying to do? Either making them poor. I didn't look into the Gemara to understand the Amkus there. I'm just keeping it very pashut. Either building is going to make a person poor, or it's going to be very dangerous. The Gemara says.
It's a constant battle. My grandfather and father said, "Let the other guy build it, you buy it."
So there you go. You have it here.
No, that's what he said.
Because it's dangerous? Why?
It's a lot of headaches.
It's a lot of headaches.
You're
not going to come out nucky. You're not going to come out nucky.
When I wanted to build the hotel in Long Beach, I had the right to build it. So there were two advices. One was from my mother. And she says, "Nachalon, what do you know from building a hotel?"
Jewish
Simple,
mama.
it's just simple.
Jewish mama. What do you know about building a hotel? Good.
And the other one.
That was Rav, yeah.
And the other one was from a very
Shmuel.
who was a very studious man. He's now passed. His name was Life. You may have heard of him, Mitch Life.
Okay, yeah.
He's a very successful guy. You may know his son, Yoni Life.
Yeah.
His father said to me, so when they got word that we were walking on the boardwalk in Miami, he looks at me, he says, "What do you want to do?" That's how I know it's in the Gemara. He says, because he says,
he quoted the Gemara.
Gemara to me, this is 30 years ago. And he says, you want to lose money? He says, this is what you need, right? It's amazing. On the other hand, who were some of the greatest builders that were in the world? It was Reichman, a Talmud Chacham of all ages, right? The Reichman brothers that lived here in New York, and Sam Lefrak. He lived right over here.
So we're going to have to see.
So what I'm saying is, there's
so wait. So good. Everybody remember what he's saying. We're going to get to it today. But right now, the way we're learning, according to Rabbi Nachman, right now, you cannot build. I mean, some people will have to. They might have had that cheshek,
Right.
but you're going to come out damaged. That's what he's saying. You're going to come out damaged.
All right. So let me the last one.
Oh,
So I saw you know Joshua Musk.
I don't know anybody. Yeah.
Marriott.
What?
Marriott,
Yeah,
Brooklyn.
he built Marriott. Now I'm pretty close with Chad, and I was always envious of him, building, and I just bought. So we meet at the hotel when he's building it, and he takes me in the back with all the wires hanging, everything built. I mean, it was a monstrosity. He says, "I'd rather do what you do, Parkoff, not what I do." It was like a matter of circumstance that he ended up doing.
Send him this sicha. Send him this. They'll be like, you're right. You're actually right.
Because he says, I don't know, I must be stupid all my life. So it happens he did very well. On the other hand, there were things that didn't do so well.
Ain't a yotzenaki. And it was also a big headache. It doesn't mean everybody's going to get physically damaged. It could be emotional, mental.
No, there are a lot of moving parts.
Yeah.
Not like the thing says, there's material aspects of danger, and there's financial danger, tremendous financial dangers, unless you're
Sicha samach lemaisa.
unless you're rich enough that you can fend off all these financial dangers. Tremendous, and more builders have gone into the graveyard than have been successful. They're not. You only hear
Okay,
about
so
the
you just bring rayas, proofs, lemaisa to.
Okay. If you go down the FDR Drive, if you look to the right, there's a building with the way it's by 96th Street, 97th Street. It was built in the 70s. I forget the name of the guy, and he went bust with it, and he jumped off the top. He jumped off the top.
Eno yotzenaki.
Okay.
And with that, but that's.
I'm just saying that
It's true. Okay, Rabbi Nachman wasn't joking. He knows what he's talking about. But we're going to come to an understanding in a little bit. How could it be that we've had some serious builders who did not get hurt? Yet Rabbi Nachman here says you get hurt. So we're going to see in a minute. But let's read one more paragraph here, a few more lines here. V'ha'ikr, says Rabbi Nachman. The main thing when you're doing building, because Rabbi Nachman looked into it, the iku hu anoches hayisod. It's how you place the foundation. Shakorin. I'll give anybody a chance at this word. Anybody?
Wow.
Can you say that? No. Okay. V'tzorich leida, says Rabbi Nachman, you have to know. Be'ezes man haniach hayisod. Right? You have to know when. What season is it good to put the foundation in? It's going to be solid. It's going to be stark. You can't just put it in any time you want. Which wood? They used wood then. Which wood to place? There's certain woods, just because they seem strong, it doesn't mean it's appropriate for any yesod. But nobody can know all of these things. And therefore, you're going to get damaged. Rabbi Nachman here is talking lamaisa, about building, physically building. That's clear. We're going to get to, we have a ways to go. But there's a way to learn this sicha in Chachmas Emes, in terms of spheres. We'll get to that. But right now, I want you to take the sheet that I gave you and look at the long side. Look at the Maran side. Okay, everybody have that? So Sukkot Maran Reish Samech Vav. I pretty much can read the whole thing. Da. Yeah? Shemises. Actually, no, take it back. We don't need that part. Take it back. Let's get back. Go down to the second paragraph. Gama oskim bebinyan, yeah? Gama oskim bebinyan mazik lahem. When people deal with buildings, it can damage them. Physically, monetarily. Chazal say in the Gemara in Sota, Kola osik bebinyan, we just learned this, mismasking. Right? Everybody who deals with binyan is going to get damaged in some way. Kitzorich, says Rabbi Nachman, Kitzorich livnos habayis b'chochma v'seichel. Because if you're going to build, you have to build with chochma and seichel. V'ozai, and then if you build with chochma and seichel, which you have to learn what that is, ein mazik lo binyan. It won't damage you. So in our Sicha, everybody gets damaged. However, in Mukudim around here, there is a way to build and not get damaged. That's if you build with Chacham and Seichel. So what were they building with over here then? They weren't building with Chacham and Seichel? Now the Pashup shot probably is that I would assume, I guess you could look it up, in the mid to late 1700s, they probably didn't have all the safety measures, at least let's say physically, that as time went on, they figured out that you need. You need guardrails because you can fall off a building.
Well, that's in the Torah, the guardrails. That's a basic.
Basic things. But they could be there was only, whatever it is, they didn't have security measures. So you need a serious chachma to build. And that takes time. Unfortunately, a lot of the world works with trial and error. Sometimes the error can be serious damage to a person. But a person builds with chachma and seichel, then he won't get damaged. And adarabah, you should build buildings. And then, not only will it not damage you, Menachem says in another Torah, you'll become rich from it. It won't make you poor. If you know how to build properly, it'll make you rich. Kemoshe Kasef, and he brings a pasuk in Mishlei, B'chachma yivne bayis, says Shlomo Melech, with chachma you build a house, he'll build a house. Ubisvuna yiskonein, and with tvuna, which is bina, right? It'll be set up, prepared. Ubidas chachma, bina and das, ubidas chadar mimalu. The rooms are filled up, right? Chachma is we'll say the blueprints. Bina is the preparing the materials and properly setting it up. And then das is when you actually build and you fill the rooms, you fill up the house. So you see, the Shalom Melech says you could build. Just make it the proper order. Chachma, Bina, and Das. Now it could be, we're not going to get into this right now, that you can have a person who switches the order. You have a person who tries to build with Bina before he builds with Chachma. If you do that, you're going to be in big trouble. Because there's an order. There's a Chachma, there's a Bina, and there's a Das. You don't gather the materials and then write the blueprints based on the materials you have. You need the blueprints first, then you buy the proper and appropriate materials. So it says Shlomo Melech, B'chachma yivne bayis, b'tzvuna yiskonin, u'b'das chadarim yamal. And then he just puts in parentheses, some take it out, but we'll read it, Ki yesh lo mokom lahachnes hashefa. Because then if you properly build Chabad, Chacham Bina Das, you've built a proper system that the shefa, the flow from Shemayim can come down. Right? We have everything in this world has to come from on high to below. Every idea, everything in physicality, there's a whole flow. Right? Everything in physicality, at least that man makes, comes from his head and then ultimately to his hands. Most times you think about something and then you settle down and then you do it with your hands. And there's a proper flow. You build a bias. Chachma, Bina, Das, Chesed, Gevuri, your two arms. Tfer.
You know who said that in reality? You ever hear of Arthur Rubinstein? You guys are too young.
The piano player.
Excellent.
Well, you've told me the story 3 times.
Yeah. Well, no, because it's right. What you just said, from the head to his hand. He was a very outstanding classical from Russia. He played a lot with the Boston Symphony. I met him. He was,
No?
16. So I asked him, how do you play? How do you remember all this? Like he just said, if I had to think about my hands, I would never be able to play the piano. He says, it just flows.
Flows right through.
It flows right through. If he thought about it, he wouldn't go.
You have to be a kli muchsher lakach. You have to be a vessel that's muchsher for that. It doesn't just happen. And it's over time. You build it properly, the system flows. Aval. Kishabon below seichel, but if a person's going to build without seichel, azay mazik lo. It's been damaged. Of course, pashup shot. If you don't build with seichel, you can get hurt. V'alkein mismaski, there's going to be damages, whether it's financial, physical. Ki ze onsho al shepagam b'chachma. This is a punishment for being pogam, blemishing chachma, and not properly aligning yourself. Beseder chachma binadas. Ki hayroi lulivnos habayis bechachma, because you should have built the bayis with chachma. Yalkein onsha shemaskein. Therefore, you got damaged. Shezeh bechinas pagam chachma. That is, read it. I'm sorry. Bechinas chachmas hamiskan bezuya. A chachma, hamisakein a chachma. The damage is bezuya, is bizoyim. If you don't use chachma properly, you're mavaze chachma because you don't use it, you don't chap what it is and how to use it, wisdom. Then misakein, it's going to damage you. V'alkein. So now Rabbi Nachman says ayidei hasukah. Right, that's the mitzvah that we have to build something. Right. You have any other mitzvah that we have to build? Okay, maybe you have to build a makeh, right? The railings on top of your house. That's not a binyan. Do we have any other mitzvahs to build a binyan? You say building binyan basic knesses, but that's not. I don't know if it's a mitzvah deraisa. Binyan sukkah, right? When a person builds a sukkah, which is the inyan of seichel, chachma, bechinas, aim or aim labina. Aim, mother, bina. The mother is the bina. And when it comes to this, the Svarim HaKadoshim uses a lot. That when it comes to bina, it's the mami. Chachma is the tati. Bina is the mami. And then Teferes and Malchus are the two children. Teferes is the son, and Malchus is the daughter. Right? Abba, Ima, Bro, Barta. Yud K, Vav K. So when it comes to the sukkah, we enter the sukkah, one of the ways that the Svarim HaKadoshim mention it is that it's the schach is like the mother covering over her children. You could say Yom Kippur, which comes right before Sukkot, is like the father, right? Maybe Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, which is a little more din, a little more gevura. The father's trying to give musar to the kid, right? That's more fatherly, av. And then after that, the loving mother comes in. Of course, those are both aspects of a Kadosh Baruch Hu, right? Avinu, Malkeinu. Avarachaman, these are both aspects of Kadosh Baruch Hu. And then we come to Sukkot, it's like the mother hovering over her children. Yes? Happens to be Avinu Malkeinu, father, king, is Rashi Tevos. Very simple, guys. Rashi Tevos, the first letter of Avinu Malkeinu. Aim, thank you. This you could do. Aim. Avinu Malkeinu overall is like a Kadosh Baruch Hu as being the mother on top, even though one's Avinu, one's Malkeinu. So that's the inyan of Sukkah, and it's the inyan of Bina, which of course here we're going to have to learn maybe next week. I don't think we're going to get to this week. Bina is not Chachma. Bina is different than Chachma. Right? He just said that the Chachma yivne bayis ubesivune yiskone Chachma, and then there's Bina. You have to build with Chachma, and then he's bringing a raya from a Sukkah, which is Bina. You could just say Lav Dafka Rabbi Nachman and say he's talking about Mochin. You have to build with Chachma and Bina. But we'll see if we can come up with something maybe a little bit more, a little deeper. He says, when a person learns how to build a sukkah through Seichel, Chachma, and Bina, then he can build houses and he won't be damaged. Then he won't have a hezek. But Bechinas, Bechachma, Yivne Bayis. With Chachma, you should build a Bayis. And we'll just finish off over here. V'zeh Bechinas, and he's bringing it back to Yaakov Avinu after Yaakov left. I think it was Esav. V'Yaakov Nasa, Sukosa. Was it after Esav or was it after Shechem? I don't remember. Yaakov goes and he travels. Sukosa. He goes to this place called Sukkos. That's the first time you see the word Sukkos in the Torah. Vayivin lo bayis, and he builds a bayis. Agav, who does he build a bayis for? For his animals, not for himself. That's for another time. Zeh bechinas. Now we have to read this because it's coming to Shavuos. Zeh bechinas Shavuos. What he says. This inyan. Now this is Rabbi Nachman. We haven't learned the Sichos Haran in a while, where we go from bechina to bechina. Right? Sichos Haran is a little bit of a different style, but we used to learn the Sichos Haran, if you remember. Rabbi Nachman always tries to compare in a very deep way concepts that seem on the face value they're not really connected, but if you understand the root hadavar, the root of the matter, right? The yesod hadavar, and you see how the yesod is connects many, many pieces, which really, really, without explaining it fully right now, is the yesod of this sicha, as we'll get to More next week. But this is the union of Shavuos. Ki Shavuos v'Sukkos hey mechad. In one way, Shavuos and Sukkos are one. What does he mean by that? Ki Torah yotzeis mi bina, because since Torah comes out of bina, which that itself needs a limud. Usually Torah comes from Chachma. But again, Chachma and bina, let's put them together right now. Torah comes from bina, she bechinas sukkah, which is the union of sukkah, like we just said. Sukkah is like the mother, which is bina. Yes? You have to pay attention. It's a cheshbon. The sukkah is like the mother, the schachet, so it's like bina. Yes? Torah comes out of bina. So therefore there's an aspect of Torah coming out of the sukkah. Kamasha Kosev, the al titosh Torah simecha. Right? You know this pasuk? What's the first part of the pasuk? Shema b'ni musar avicha. Shema b'ni, listen to my son, to the musar avicha. So I'm just going back before. That's like Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. The al titosh Torah simecha. And you can also say that's Shavuos. Al titosh Torah simecha. Don't forsake the Torah of your mother. So you see then the mother, again, Ein, which is Bina, Al Titosh Torahs Imecha. There's a Torah of the Ein. There's a Torah from the father, a Musar, and there's a Torah from the mother. So therefore, Sukkah, when you're under the Schach, is like the mother is Bina, Torah comes out of that place. Bechinas Im Labina. Aim Labina. Again, the mother is like Bina, mother of the children. And another way of saying it is that when a person, just a human being by himself, not with children, when his mind is working properly, his mind is like the Av and the Aim, which guide the body, which is like the children. Right? Every system, when you work in Pnimiyus Torah, can be utilized in many, many ways, depending on the perspective. Are you macro or are you micro? How far out are you look? Every way you say, let's say you say Abba and Ima, so in one perspective it's a mother and a father. In another perspective it means the two parts of your brain. Right? Abba and Ima can mean many different things depending on what you're looking at. Everything can have Abba and Ima. A company has an Abba and Ima. You have a CEO and a CFO. It's an Abba and it's an Ima. Every way you look can be broken down into whether it's 4 parts or 10 spheres, everything. Again, macro, micro, very important. The more you learn Pnimiyus Torah, the more you understand how the world works. And that's what Rabbi Nachman, one of his goals, was to show. Right? We're talking about physical buildings, and now we're coming to Chochmah and to Bina, and we'll see more. So says Rabbi Nachman. So there's the Sukkah. So Sukkah, Torah, all connected. The Alkain, so he says, Tekef, and of course Shavuos, obviously, that's obviously Torah. So that's what Rabbi Nachman's saying, that Sukkos and Shavuos are very similar in the fact that they're both Torahs given in that way. You could maybe say Shavuos is like with the fire and the lightning and the thunder of Har Sinai. It's like a Musar. That's Musar Avicha, the Torah of Shavuos, which itself, we broke those luchos because sometimes that's too intense, right? Those luchos broke. We need a second luchos, which could be the Torah of the mother. Which when did the second luchos come? Yom Kippur and then to Sukkos. Right? Can't be so intense when you're teaching. You could break somebody. And then Sukkos, which is the Torah of the mother. Okay, so Shavuos and Sukkos, both connected. The Alkain, therefore, he says right after Sukkos, Tekev Acher Sukkos, Simchas Torah. Right after Sukkos, the end, the last days, Shmini Atzeres is also Simchas Torah. Kim Bechinas Sukkah, Misham Yotis Torah. You see, from Sukkah comes the Torah. Nimtza, listen to what he says here. Al Yidei Shenichnesu b'Sukkah, when a person enters into Sukkah, physically and also spiritually, when you enter into the sugya of Sukkah, Na'asim be'atzmam b'chinas Torah. You become the bechin of Torah. Because we know that Torah comes from Bina, again, spiritually. Wisdom. Torah, which is wisdom, comes from Bina. Wisdom, let's just say, even though Bina is, you understand. But therefore also, Lamaisa, in the Zman, Sukkos and Simchas Torah is a Zman of Torah. Okay? Also, a person, Lamaisa, who goes into a sukkah properly, he comes out a piece of Torah. Just like in Zman, in time, Simchas Torah comes out of Sukkahs, so too in Nefesh and soul, a Torah, a Simchas Torah, a person filled with Torah comes out of the Sukkah. Right? The person who enters into the Sukkah in a proper way, he comes out a different person. Ki misham yotis Torah kanam, because that's where the Torah comes from Sukkahs, from Aim, Bina. V'oz, mitchilas haTorah shu bereshis, the first word, maschelas haTorah shu bereshis, first word is bereshis, bechinas bayis. How do you see that bereshis is a bechinas, an aspect of bayis? Hainu, beis, the bereshis. What's the first letter in the Kol Torah Kula? A beis. Bereshis bara. Yes? If you take the letter beis and you would spell it, how would you spell beis? Beis, yud, sof. Correct? Beis. What does that sound like? Bias. A beis is a bias. Bias ratius. The first thing in Kol Torah Kula is a bias.
3 walls.
And a little bit in a tefach. Tefach. It's actually 2 in a tefach. But it's interesting, right? There's a famous Vilna Gaon who says that Kol Torah Kula is really all in the word Bereshis. All of Bereshis is really in the base. And really everything in the base is really in the little nakuda, the dot, in the base. So you have the bayis, which is the base, and then you have the little dot. That's the chokhmah, really. Because the bayis, it's chokhmah and bina together. So says Rabbi Nachman, Hainu beis the Bereshis, bechinas Yaakov nasa sukosa vayiven lo bayis. This is the bechinas, the aspect of Yaakov traveled and he built sukkahs. He says, V'zeu bechinas Sivan. You see a reference to the word Sivan. Now here, Rabbi Nachman says, Samech Vav Vav Nun. Sivan, because the Rashi Tevos of V'Yakov Nosa Sukos Vayiven Vav Nun, Samech Vav is Sivan, Samech Vav Vav Nun. Everybody see that? However, I saw a Sefer say, but that's not how we spell, Sivan. We spell Samech Yud Vav Nun. So I don't know if it's a mistake, or so he says like this. Look at the word V'Yakov. Take the first 2 letters, Vav and Yud, and then the Nun of Nasa and then Sukosa, Sivan. See that? But not just that. Take the Nun of Nasa, the Samach of Sukosa, and the Vav Yud of Ayivan. Weiter, Sivan. You see 2 Sivans in that pasuk. Because Sivan is what? The Zman of Matan Torah. Sha'az Uzman Matan Torah. So Rashi Tevos V'Yakov Nasa Sukosa V'Ayivan Lo Bayis. So you see that in the pasuk where Yaakov is building sukkahs, there's a remes to Shavuos, Sivan and Shavuos. Why? Because again, they're both Zmanim of Matan Torah. Good? So going into the sukkah, you gain Chachma, you gain an ability to build a bias, because you become Torah. When you understand Torah, then you're able to build with Chachmas Torah, and then you don't get damaged. Turn the page. So this is brought down. This is from the Sichos Haran. You see this, Reish Mavav? So Sichos Haran is like it's like biography. It's Rabbi Nachman's biography. Okay. So he's discussing in this Sichos Haran our Sicha and this Torah Rabbi Nachman, but he says it a little bit of an additional way. Isada, it's brought down. You should know Shaydei Mitzvah Sukkah Karoi Mutter Lo Lasak Bebinyan. If you're a person building the sukkah properly. Shaydei Mitzvah Sukkah Karoi is building the sukkah properly, but also entering the sukkah, right? That's the 2 aspects that Rabbi Nachman is saying. You have to build the sukkah, and then you have to enter into the sukkah, because you have to come out Torah. So through the mitzvah of sukkah karoi, mutter lo lasak bebinyan ve'enu mazik lo lemamono. It won't damage his money. Won't damage him, won't damage his money. Ki amru Razal, Chazal saying the Gemara Yevamos again, we've seen this already. Ha'osik bebinyan mismaskin, anybody who deals with building is going to get damaged or poor. V'tama davar, the reason is, ki ma inyan ha'aniyas labona. What does it mean being poor to a builder? Well, what is this? What is he talking about? Achtama davar, says Rabbi Nachman, the reason is, ki misha bona binyan, tzarich livnus b'chachma. A person who's building has to build with appropriate chachma. Kamosha kasav b'chachma yivna bayis. As Mishlei says clear. Only with chachma you build a house. Ubevadei habona b'chachma, why is masking? So if you build with chachma, you won't be damaged. V'adarabo, yis asher, you become rich, as we've seen. V'yaskayimbo b'chachma yivne bais, because you're holding on to what Shlomo Melech, the smartest of all, the chachma yivne bais. Ubedas chadar mimalo, and then you'll fill up the rooms with das. Aval misha bona below chachma manishin oso banias. But anyone who doesn't build with chachma, he is punished with poverty. And in that way, you're mavaza chachma. You had an opportunity to use chachma to build something beautiful. Kavod Shemayim could have been done. Could have been very nice, right? If you imagine you have a builder who everything he said is, you know what? I'm building this, but only because a Kadosh Baruch Hu gave me the chachma to do it. It's a Kiddush Hashem. With those simple words, he made a big Kiddush Hashem. But if you don't build with chachma, and then a person, the building is not Marbek Kvod Shemayim, so Mida Keneged Mida, so he's going to lose money on the deal. He's Mavaza the chachma. Chachma is hamiskan bezuya. Mida Keneged Mida. It's a Mida Keneged Mida that the chachma, if you don't use the chachma properly, then it's going to damage you. You're going to become poor. V'al mitzvah sukkah hu madregas Torah. And through the mitzvah sukkah, here doesn't explain, but we just learned in the Torah of Rabbi Nachman. And through the mitzvah sukkah hu madregas Torah, which is the madrega of Torah, because aim labin of al teitosh. Torah's imecha. So sukkah is Torah. V'ha-Torah hi makor kol ha-chachmas. And since Torah is the makor, the source of all chachmas, right? So if you have to build with chachma, what's the way to gain the greatest chachma? Go to the Torah. Again, we have to understand this. So what the chachma is teaching me, the chachmas of Torah is teaching me which materials to use, and which wood to use when, and which season I should build a foundation in. Is that what it means, chachmas of Torah? Right? What's the chachma that Rabbi Nachman is speaking about over here? He's speaking about physically building, but yet he's going into a world of chachmas of Torah. Because of this, because a person enters into sukkah, builds the sukkah, which means he's zochet the Torah, which is the makor of chachmas. Now he has chachma, and bechachma yivna bais. Now he can build properly. Ki bevada yesh lo chachma. If a person learns Torah, he has chachma. V'simen ladavar, and he brings v'Yaakov nasa sukkos of a yivin, like we said. Idei mitzvah sukkah huter lo livnos. Through building a sukkah, it is permitted to build. Really, you shouldn't be able to build. If every building is a sakana, who said you could put yourself into a sakana? It could be sakanas nefashos, or it could be a dangerous financially. So you shouldn't be allowed to do it. It should be also. But either a Kadosh Baruch Hu puts a cheshek into the people, or a person has chachma, he learns Torah, and he's zochet to get the heter to build. And then he says, Leiv, Rasha Tevos, lo bias. I'm not sure he's quoting a pasuk here. I think Vayiven lo bias. He's talking about Yaakov Avinu. Vayiven lo bias, yes? Lo bias is referring to that pasuk by Yaakov Avinu, which is Rosh Tevos Lamed of Beis, which is Leiv. Leiv zu Torah. The heart is the Torah. Where does he know that from? Beis mi Bereshis Lamed milene Kol Yisrael. The first letter in Kol Torah Kula is a Beis of Bereshis. The last letter in Kol Torah Kula is a Lamed of Yisrael. When you put those two together, it's Leiv. Lamed Beis. But I think I just said in the Chabur this week or last week, but that's not the right order. The Beis of Bereshis and then Lamed of Leine Kol Yisrael, if you do it in that order, it's Baal. Which is not good. So what's the answer? Because only once you've learned Kol Torah Kula and you've gained the Chachmas HaTorah, the last letter, the Lamed, is where you start to have the ability to have the Chachmas. Then it's Lamed and Beis, and then it's Leiv. When you connect the end of the Torah to the beginning of the Torah, so then it's Leiv. Right? The last letter of the end of the Torah and the first letter of the first part of the Torah, they put them together, then it's Leiv, in that order. What? That's Simchas Torah. It's Mamish Simchas Torah. We lein Leinei Kol Yisrael, Bereshis, exactly. Simchas Torah, which comes after Sukkos, which comes after Al Titor Torah Zimecha.
Would that be any reason why when you read the Satmar Rebbe Divrei Yom, in the beginning, Bereshit, he has 52 questions in the first passage.
On every parsha in Divrei Yom, He asks 50 questions,
Yeah,
and then he answers them all.
yeah. So the first part,
It's a danger saver. I've never gone through one of them.
it's very good.
Great. They actually put out a shorter version.
No.
From a
The
concert.
purpose of telling you from the beginning that in the first pasuk
Yeah.
he goes to Hazinu to join Bereshit.
Yeah.
In other words, his justification of Bereshit is already mentioned in Hazinu.
So you can only know if he
Right.
doesn't. Yeah.
So I don't know if that was, in his thinking. I don't know.
Kol Torah Kula is one thing, and it's only when you start
Well,
when
why
you
do you say it's dangerous?
with the safer,
Yeah.
because a person could go into all those questions and never get to the answer.
Oh, so it wasn't me.
No, not you.
Oh, okay. I just want to make sure.
He asks a lot of questions, and he has midrashim. I've never actually gone through an entire piece. But if you want to know, Mr. Parkov has apparently, so you can ask him.
You started and then you just got turned off after 50.
I started with the base, but I didn't get to the lamed. That's the problem. I didn't get to the end of the lathe. Okay, so Mitzvah Hashem, we'll have to continue with this Torah next week and connect it to the rest of the Sicha. How Rabbi Nachman expands Chachma and the Bina and different physical aspects of this world, and how Chachma and Bina can help us if we understand them.
Go on, Scott. So what happens that his commentary is really.
The Riol, they recently put out I think 5 volumes where they brought out his Yesodas, but in shorter, bite-sized pieces.
Hebrew or English?
Hebrew. They've
I
been putting out a
get
lot
it.
of his Torahs. They've been putting out a lot.
What?
They've been putting out a lot of his stuff lately, redoing it, organizing it.